Hey guys! Okay, let me check and make sure my Wi-Fi is working. This was sort of like probably a shorter topic to talk to you about really quick about your weight and fertility. If you are wanting to have a baby, if you are trying to have a baby, if you're trying to get pregnant, this issue came up for me a number of times, and so I wanted to tell you what I had to learn about it and what your weight sort of does indicate about your chances of fertility, or if it's inhibiting you or if it's making it hard for you. Hey, Courtney. Okay, I'm gonna just see if I can share this into my group. Oh, and you guys, if you didn't see already, I did a video this morning with Dihessa, my friend who used to be in one of my masterminds, about how to help your lymphatic system drain and all the fun things that I use. I still have everything sitting here, my fascia blasters. Hey, and Courtney, I made elderberry syrup yesterday, my own. I messed up my first batch so bad the first time. I had to throw the whole thing away, which I was sort of bummed because I bought a huge bag on Amazon, and they're not super expensive, but they're not cheap either. So, but anyways, I'm stocked with my elderberry. Okay, let me share this really quick, you guys, to my Food Rebels group. And come and join if you're not in there. Okay, what does... Okay. Thanks. Yes, I was proud of myself. And it's way cheaper than buying it every day at Whole Foods. Okay. So, what does your weight have to do or not have to do with your fertility? So, if you have been trying to have a baby for any amount of time, things that people will say to you, just like now that I'm pregnant, 26 weeks, okay? And people come up to you and they just throw up their opinions on you or tell you how it's going to be or how things are going to go, and you're like, thank you, no thank you. This is why it's so important that you decide and choose to know what you believe about health and about your body. Otherwise, there are so many people really willing to give you their opinions, and of course the healthcare system or sick care system or whatever definitely has their thoughts as well. But for example, my stomach is a lot bigger now, and I'm still having to put myself on my own digestive protocol so that I can feel more comfortable when I eat and not feel so full. But my dad was over here yesterday, and he was like, well, just wait, it's only gonna get worse or whatever. I'm like, how do you know, first of all? And I was like, Dad, you need to shut up. That is so mean. I just had enough at that point. I was having kind of a rough afternoon. But anyways, one of the things that people will say to a woman who is trying to get pregnant, trying to conceive, might run along the lines of, oh, well, you just need to gain weight, right? And that can be super annoying to hear when you've been trying a lot of things, or you just don't understand why things aren't working in general, right? So I was told this too. Totally stand in your truth based on knowledge, not indoctrination. Based on knowledge and based on what you personally choose, right? So I was told this by random doctors, my doctors, random doctors, people that didn't really know too much about what was going on. And even my acupuncturist was like, oh, well, I want you to eat more fat. I want you to eat more nuts and seeds and things like that. So and you guys, at the time, I was feeling really fine in my body. I think this was before I started the IVF, right? Because I was doing all the natural things I could think of that I knew to do. And the funny thing is, and I just want to say this because the way that the body shifts, it's so unique person to person, right? And I know so many people who has heard of somebody going to acupuncture and getting pregnant naturally from it, right? So many people and that's why I went, because I'm oh, this just works, right? But it didn't work for me, and I love the fact that my acupuncturist gave me lifestyle tips with my diet and food. And in fact, she was the first one that ever told me not to eat dairy. And so I stopped and I was like, oh, thanks, But some of the stuff didn't work, but because it depends really on what your symptoms are and what your body's showing you. And just saying like, well, you need to gain weight or lose weight, it's not telling you enough information is what I'm trying to say, okay? So one thing that was really hard to get when people were telling me that was, well, first of all, I don't feel like I'm unhealthy. Like the only reason that I'm here talking to you about this or going to a doctor in general is because like I don't know what's wrong, right? And just telling me like it's my weight, that didn't really give me enough information, especially as a person who really like seeks out knowledge and investigates and like I want the science, I want to understand. That wasn't good enough for me, right? And I didn't understand why I couldn't just be healthy and feel good in my body and get pregnant, have it all, right? Why did I have to choose, or like why did I have to gain weight when I felt comfortable in my body? So that was really hard for me, because I think one of the other things that was sort of like blocking my ease with fertility was like all of the fear about the body changes that happens, right? And I'm going through it now and it's coming back up. So obviously like I worked on it and accepted it enough to be able to get pregnant naturally now, but it still doesn't mean that it's always easy, right? Like it's not easy to like feel out of breath all the time, or to like get tired walking up a tiny hill, or to not really feel comfortable laying down or sleeping, right? It's like it's hard when you feel like your body's sort of swelling up there, and like it's just not normal when you usually feel like really fit and healthy. So like that's a challenge, and you have to be really sensitive when somebody is wanting their body to do this magnificent thing, such as get pregnant and carry a human and grow a human and have a baby, and to just like blame it on your weight, So as far as being like underweight, the only thing that does signify, and it could signify, okay, let me say it could signify for me, and it does not mean anything literally, because there are all different women of all different sizes at all different weights, even with all different health statuses, I would say, and who take care of themselves in different ways, who get pregnant, right? And this is why it's so confusing for people, and why sometimes it doesn't seem fair either. So my issue being that I wasn't ovulating, that was why people were telling me, well, you need to gain more weight, right? Eat all these cashews, eat all these nuts, eat all this chicken and eggs and things like that. But that's sort of like a blanket, again, misunderstanding of, okay, why does somebody not ovulate? It's not just because they're skinny. It's not just because you don't have enough fat on your bones, okay? And you can see this because there's all different women at all different sizes that just have their normal cycles, right? And so what you really need to understand, if that is your issue, because it was mine, is that it's not just gain weight. And it's always about the right foods. It's always about letting your body have access to the right foods and the right nutrients, so that it can have the ability to do what it needs to do and knows how to do on its own. So in this case, if you're like towards the leaner side, then you just need to make sure you have a regular cycle and that you're ovulating, which I wasn't. So my solution was not gain weight. In fact, as I found out, the reason that I wasn't ovulating was multifaceted, but it had to do with a couple things. One, if you're not ovulating, you really need to understand the health of your adrenal glands, because so many of your sex hormones are produced in your adrenal glands. So one, I was under a highly stressful situation of trying to get pregnant, not knowing why I couldn't, all these doctors, money, time, just like everyone else can do it, why can't I? So that was taxing my adrenals day after day, right? And this was before I even meditated. So you guys, I was like totally more high strung than even now. So you have to understand that your adrenals have to have more than enough energy to make sure you feel energized every day. So if you're already feeling like, oh, I'm so tired, I don't sleep well at night, I need to take naps all the time, like probably signs of low adrenal sufficiency, low adrenal battery, right? If you don't even have enough of a strength in your adrenals for that, then it's likely that creating sex hormones is going to be put on the back burner by your body, right? Because reproduction, the whole energy that flows to your reproductive system, does not get priority when your body doesn't feel well, or when your body isn't functioning well inside. You have to get this. So my body had all these other things going on, even though I couldn't see them, because a lot of the stuff, it's hidden, right? It's like so many of the people that I've worked with and so many people that I know that have autoimmune conditions, they look healthy, right? They look like nothing is wrong. In fact, they might look really healthy. They might look really good, and they might be drinking smoothies, and they might be having green juices, or they might be eating salads. But inside, it's what matters. And because we can't see visibly unless you really know what's going on and you really know what your symptoms are telling you, then it feels like, well, nothing's wrong, right? Except you just don't feel right, or you're not getting the outcome that you want, or you're not getting the result that you want. So on the outside, it can look like nothing's wrong, but underlying that, there will be clues to what is happening. So if you're not getting a regular cycle, or if your cycle's all whacked out, or if you don't ovulate, adrenals, you have to be able to nourish them. So they need sufficient energy, and they need to be cared for before your body will be like, cool, she's taking care of this, and so now I have enough energy to support all the stressors, daily stressors, good and bad, that she's going through. I have enough support to create like access to energy that's consistent. So whether that means like you're eating enough and frequently, I have enough to make sure that the liver's stocked with extra glucose, and I have enough to make sure that she can like do her daily activities and work out and whatever else. Then your body will be able to even entertain the idea that you want to have a baby, because it's sort of like this switch. It's like an off and on switch, and it doesn't maybe seem fair, but it's always your body working for you. So if you can't get pregnant right now, say, thank you, body. I obviously need to give you some more love and attention, and I'm so willing to learn to do this. Because it wouldn't just be infertile for no reason, okay? So it's doing something else right now with the energy that it has, with the energy capacity that it has, and it can't help you get pregnant yet. It doesn't mean it can't. Of course it can. Every woman's body was built for this. It just means right now there's other priorities, okay? So you've got to be able to heal, give the body the tools, the food, the nutrients that it needs to do its own healing, so that then it can look at having this excess of energy to shift to reproduction. Because let me tell you, and if you've been pregnant, you will know this is hard work, you guys. Like, it's taking all of my energy to grow this little baby. And like, he's getting it and I'm not, which is why like I get out of breath and why I get tired so much more, right? It just makes sense. So you have to be prepared energetically and nutrient density wise. Like, you have to have reserves, you have to have stores, so that your body's like, okay, cool, we can have enough energy to create these hormones to allow this ovulation, to allow this fertilization and implantation, and to carry it through this whole pregnancy and for the labor and delivery, okay? So it's a lot, and it's a long process, right? Like 9 months is a freaking long time. So just understand, like, it's not a priority. So that's the only thing that I would look at if you are not getting your cycle and you're on the leaner side. And then just like as far as a body image thing, you just have to be able to know that you can get pregnant and you can be pregnant, and it doesn't have to mean like your whole body blows up, or that you feel horrible, or that you like hate the way that you look the whole time. I mean, you're gonna be like different looking, that's for sure, but I just understand what it felt like when people were sort of like labeling me in a category that like I was like sort of doing it on purpose. Like I even had to, my acupuncturist was asking me like what I ate, and I was telling her like, oh, I was eating all this and this, and like I literally do eat a lot of food. And it's like they just, sometimes I don't know if they don't believe you or what, but it just looks, you know, everybody looks different, and it's okay. So now on the flip side, how does your weight affect fertility if you feel like you're carrying extra weight? What does that have to do with it? So I've heard people say like, well, I want to lose weight before I get pregnant or before I try to get pregnant, just because like I think they want to not have that extra weight to carry along with the pregnancy, which is fine to do, right? But if it's a case where you feel like you have this infertility, or you have like fertility things happening where you've been trying or you've been wanting to have a baby and it's not happening, and you feel like you're carrying a little bit of extra weight, then it's not just the weight. It's not just because of the weight. It's what the weight means. And also what it means if you have been trying to do things for your health or do things for your fertility and maybe do things to release some of this extra weight, but maybe it isn't working, okay? Then that is significant. So here's what that means. The weight that is like at over and above like what you need or what you want always comes back to the health of your internal system, right? And your mind. But as far as physical, you know, how healthy is this liver that you've got? How healthy are your adrenals again? And how strong is your thyroid? So if you've been like, okay, I want to have a baby and I want to lose some weight and I'm trying to do that and I'm doing these things, or I'm changing my diet, excuse me, sometimes I just burp a lot now, and I'm working out or whatever, and it's not going anywhere, then it has to do with like some stubbornness in your organs and these systems that are connected. And that's what needs to be addressed. It's not just like, oh, you need to lose weight. It's, well, why isn't it easy and natural for your body to release extra pounds if you are taking the steps to do that, to help it to do that? So that's when you have to look at, well, could my liver be overloaded to the point where me like shifting weight is not the priority? So again, it's all about like the order of things. So the body always is doing things in order. It's always doing things in the order to help you with the most predominant need or what's most urgent, right? So like if you like, for example, I went on a walk today, and there's just one area, like not too far from my house, but it's on like a main road. And every time I walk down it, I like instantly can smell like fertilizer, like lawn treatment, like spray, you know, like horrible. So if you walk into like an area of fumes or something, let's just say, your body's like predominant priority is going to be to protect you from those and to like not let your lungs inhale them as much as possible, right? But so that you still get oxygen. If you eat something, the dominant priority typically should be to digest that stuff that you just ate, right? But if all of the things have been overburdened and overworked or backed up for too long, then even the simplest things can take a back burner, right? Because your body will always prioritize like digesting food and detoxification over most anything else, right? You have to be able to have continuous access to nutrients and to water, and you probably are eating food every day unless you're on a water fast, which you probably aren't. So that's the work, and your liver and your gut are so strongly connected to one another and how they coexist and how they co-function, and this huge amount of energy that they require and they are asking of you all the time, that could be why you're not shifting the weight. And then those things would be so important that would need to be addressed for you to be able to have this ease of fertility, because you should be able to drop the weight if you've been taking like positive steps, like in a healthy healthy way, right? Like not doing a crash diet, not doing like HCG, blah, blah, eat a cracker a day or whatever. But if you've been like mindfully trying to do this and it isn't working, it's because there's some combination of ways that you're eating food or foods that you're still intaking that are still slowing you down enough that you're not seeing enough of an energy shift to get the results, right? And the results, you can notice them really quickly when you get everything on track. It's just, it's knowing all the fine print, like all of the details and how it looks for you and your like energy type, even like human design plays a role in this too. So if the weight isn't coming off, then you want to make sure, am I doing enough to detox? Am I doing enough for my gut health? Am I doing enough for my adrenals and my thyroid? So all of those 4 big components have to be in order for someone to be able to easily lose the weight and in order to easily do anything that's beyond like this core like function of just daily maintenance, right? And you breathing and you walking and doing your daily activities and being alive. So just remember, like, fertility is sort of like a extra credit thing for the body. So it's natural. It's given. Your female body knows how to do it. But if it isn't doing it with ease, it just means something else is under the surface that has to be addressed first. And it might not look like it, right? Like I said, like I looked healthy, I was active, I was doing things, I was a healthy person, but there was underlying stuff that was like chronically not right that would have been a bad situation if I had gotten pregnant, and which is probably why I did get pregnant for one of those times I did an embryo transfer for like 6 weeks. And then it miscarried because I believe that I had a virus in my reproductive system that came from my liver, and that was why. So it was a huge part was my liver and my adrenals, and then correcting that and healing that, and then being able to see all these symptoms and like these like inflammatory signs that had popped up post IVF. Because of all the chemicals and things that put me over the edge and all the fake hormones or like the hormones that I had to take in from external sources, that had to be cleaned up. So there was a lot of work to do for me, which is why I think it took me the amount of time it did, just because I didn't actually know what I was doing at the time. It was sort of like I was just trying things and then putting them together. And like now in hindsight, I have this like very clear picture of this puzzle that got pieced together, and now I would know like exactly what to do like immediately. And that's why I can help people now do this, because like it's just how the body works, right? You tell me what's going on, I can tell you what your body's trying to tell you, what you need to do, what you need to shift, and it will click back in. It's just how it works. It's science, right? And believing that. So the weight thing is just always like, the weight's sort of secondary to health anyways, right? If you were just a person watching this that wants to like drop some weight or feels like too thin or whatever, it's still about your health. It's still about what's happening in your body, what's happening with these systems that's creating this physical size or this physical weight, right? And the weight, it's not, so fertility, it's not about your weight. It's about the health of your system. It's about the health of your organs, and it's about the health of your mindset as well, being willing and ready, and your body knowing that you're willing and you're ready to say, yes, I want this baby to come now. Because even if you have like a healthy body and a healthy liver and all those things, your mind's more powerful than your body, and your mind is telling your body what to do. So you've got to have all these things checked, on board, in alignment, and then it will happen. Okay? So I hope this was helpful for you guys. And I wanted to remind you that I am taking on private coaching clients in my Baby Body Ready program. So let me see if I can just put this. I'm so sorry. I like can't help it. I am out of breath. It's like so annoying to me. But I guess that means I'm excited about what I'm saying. Okay, so I just put the link in there, which you don't have to read if you don't want to, but it just kind of gives a little bit more about my pin perspective on fertility now and how like post going through it and post like creating a child through a gestational carrier, even though he was our embryo, and then creating one naturally. It's like Dalton was a really big learning experience for me on how my mind and my subconscious were playing into the fertility thing for us. And obviously the universe was able to work around some of my blocks and some of my resistance and deliver him to us through my sister carrying him, right? Which was totally fine. And then it took a little bit more work for me mentally and physically to be able to have this happen naturally. So it just goes to show like it's so individual and it's so doable, okay? Because I was probably the most scared person ever to like have a baby, and I never even, like, if you would have talked to me before I met my husband, like we both were kind of like, yeah, if we never get married, that's fine or whatever. And you know, if we never have kids, like, yeah, that'd be sad, but we'll be fine. But the heartache of actually going through infertility stuff, that's major. But like being grounded and like, well, sometimes babies cry a lot, and like you can ask my sisters, like they wouldn't have been surprised if I was like the girl that never had kids or whatever, but like don't worry if you think like you're scared about it or whatever. It's okay. Like most people are scared about it and you can still make it work. So definitely message me. You can check out the link if you are going through this now, if you've got all these other things in order in your life, but this baby thing is not quite working for you. Just reach out. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to let you know what I see for you, because it seriously is so doable, and I would love to be able to support you and your family and bringing your little baby into the world. And let me know if you guys have questions. I'll talk to you later. Bye.